Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Judge Pammy Long Hayward. This is the State Court of Clayton County. This is the motions calendar for October 30, 2024. This is the 10 a.m. calendar. On the 10 a.m. calendar, we have Mary Mills and David Mills versus Wanda Craig. Do we have individuals here for them?
Scott Stevens for the plaintiffs, Your Honor. Good morning.
Good morning. Something's going on with my computer. One second. There we go. Got all kinds of gadgets. All right, Mr. Stevens for Mr. Mills and Mr. and Mrs. Mills. Is that correct?
Yes, represent the Mills.
All right, because I have Mr. Howe.
Yes, I'm with the Howe law firm.
Okay. All right, and Ms. Craig.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. So, Ms. Craig, you're representing yourself, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have you all had an opportunity to speak about your case?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
Would you all like the opportunity to speak? I can put you in a breakout room and you all can talk about it. If you decide something, that's fine. If you don't, then you come back for a hearing.
I'm happy to speak with Miss Craig. I see that the Powell, there's a party here named Powell.
That's my staff attorney.
Okay, so I'm assuming then that iPhone 3 is David Mills.
Mr. and Mrs. Mills.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. Okay, good. Do you want to talk to Miss Craig? We can do a breakout room.
No, I don't think it's necessary.
Okay. Well,
All right.
in that instance, Your Honor, I guess we have some preliminary issues on this that I'd like to take up.
All right, go ahead.
All right. This is on a motion for default judgment. And I have seen the court's order from in August relating to the real party and interest issue. We have attempted to obtain a copy of the contract between the Mills and Falcon Property Management. Falcon Property Management is the agent for the Mills. The Mills are the principal. And we did obtain a document that, but it related to another property. And so we have therefore filed, or we are filing, a motion to substitute party plaintiff to substitute in Falcon Property Management LLC, who is the lessor shown on the lease.
So is that the corporate alter ego for Mary and David Mills? Did they lease property under Falcon?
Yes, that was their agent. But we do not have the written contract for that particular property. And so therefore we have filed that motion to substitute party plaintiff so that there's not a real party and interest issue on that. And so typically there would be a 30-day response time for that, for the defendant to file a response if the defendant wants to file one. It's really I guess more of a procedural issue more than anything.
Okay. Miss Craig, essentially what Mr. Stevens is saying is that when they first filed, the court raised the issue that Mary and David Mills did not appear to be the proper parties to bring suit against you. And the suit was brought in their name when it should have been brought in the name of another party. Mr. Stevens is asking the court to allow him to substitute the proper party, which is the Falcon Property Management Company. You would have the right to file a brief in opposition if you wish to. that is up to you, ma'am.
Okay, Your Honor, and may I ask what is a brief
Okay, so essentially, it would be an argument that you make in writing that is either for or against something. If you objected to the Mills substituting Falcon Property Management in the lawsuit as the party plaintiff, meaning the lawsuit would then read Falcon Property Management versus Wanda Craig, I'm sorry. So if you had an objection to that, you could put it in writing and file it to the court once Mr. Stevens files his brief. So he would file his motion first. You would have the opportunity to read it. And then if you had an objection to it, then you could file your brief in opposition. You could, of course, just agree to it if that is what you choose to do, but that's not what the court is not making you decide one way or the other. It's up to you.
Okay, so may I ask what I'm thinking you're saying? May I
Sure,
say
you want to, yeah.
so are you saying that right now the Mr. and Mrs. Mills, the case that they have against me is from them, but at the same time, since I was renting the property through a management company and now it's from Falcon Property and them?
So it's currently being brought by them.
Mm-hmm.
The court could not find a connection between them and the lease that you had.
Okay.
So Mr. Stevens is proposing that he file a motion to substitute parties, meaning he would substitute Falcon Property Management into the case instead of Mary Mills and David Mills. If you objected to that, you could file a brief in opposition once he files his motion.
Okay. Yes, Your Honor. Okay. Yes,
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do believe so.
Okay. All right. Because I can't advise you, but I can explain.
Right. Yeah.
And so he would have the opportunity to file that motion. You would have the opportunity to respond. The court would consider both the motion and the response, and then would make a decision about whether he would be allowed to substitute parties. Now, Mr. Stevens said there were several things that he wanted to take up. So that's one. What are the other things, Mr. Stevens?
Well, that's the prime issue on this, because I understand the court raised the real party and interest issue. And so that's what our concern is, because we understand the court did raise that. So that's really the only issue that
Okay.
as a preliminary matter.
All right. So my understanding is that generally somebody will show me an assignment or some document, but you don't have that document is what you're saying.
We do not. And I think we uploaded another
For another
document,
property.
but it was for a different address. And so we don't have the contract, the agency contract for this particular address, Your Honor.
All right. All right. What would be the other thing that you said that was the primary issue? Nothing else?
That's the only issue that we have. It's a preliminary issue before we can actually prove up our damages here.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't know if it would make sense for you to provide damages at this point. Since we're not dealing with the proper party and interest, did you want to provide damages? And if the court finds in your favor, then, I mean, are you using the same people to establish the damages as you would if this were Falcon Property Management?
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Craig, so what that means is Mr. Stevens is proposing something that is essentially judicial economy, meaning that I would hear the damages claim now, then I would make the decision about whether he can substitute the parties. If I decided he could, then I would already have heard the damages claim because he intends to use the same witnesses. Do you understand what I'm saying, or did you want to ask me some questions?
Do you mind if I ask you a question, Your Honor?
Sure, no problem.
So the damages, I'm assuming, are the damages for the rent they're saying that is due?
Yes, ma'am. Usually if it's a lease, damages would include any rent due, any late fees, any actual damages to the property that they felt were they should be compensated for.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so damages, the word damages in the law generally means just something that you should be compensated for actions done against you. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So Mr. Stevens is essentially saying it would save us having 2 hearings if we did that today.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Your
All
Honor,
right.
do you have before you the documents that we uploaded this morning, the exhibits?
Probably. I didn't access any documents this morning. Let me ask Ms. Powell. Ms. Powell,
Okay.
did you?
Your Judge.
Ms. Powell?
I can get that over to you.
Okay.
They essentially, Your Honor, are the exhibits that are attached to the complaint.
Okay. She will pull those for me.
Okay.
All right. And so just
Mr.
overall.
Mr. Mills or Mr. and Mrs. Mills, are you able to see those documents that I emailed over to you this morning?
Yes, I seen them this morning. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And essentially, as I look at the documents, Ms. Craig, you're not disputing that something may be owed to the proper party in interest if it were to be Falcon Property Management. What you're stating is that there is a dispute in the amount that would be owed?
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Yeah, once I get to explain exactly. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. All right, so Ms. Powell should be, Mr. Stevens, if you have the documents, you can always share screen. That's not a problem.
Well, I'm not very good at doing that, Your Honor, so
All righty then.
that's why I asked that they be uploaded because I don't know very well how to share a screen.
I see the the notice of filing military status report, the motion to substitute party, and the proposed order. Are one of those the documents that you're talking about, Mr. Stevens, or would you like me to send the judge your original complaint?
I think, Your Honor, it might be better if we continue this case and let the proper party be substituted in
Okay.
rather than trying to do the documents because I'm not certain that we have everything before the court on that at this point.
All right, so Ms. Craig, Mr. Stevens has filed the motion to substitute parties. Do you have an email, ma'am? Do we have Ms. Craig's email?
Yes, Your Honor, I have email.
Okay, Ms. Powell, is Ms. Craig's email on the electronic filing so we can make sure that she gets the documents contemporaneous with when everybody else is served electronically?
I'm not sure if they're on the filing, but Ms. Craig and I had corresponded previously.
I'm sorry?
So I'm not sure if they're in the docket, but I have corresponded with Ms. Craig previously, so I do have her email.
Okay, all right. So let's see if we can add that to the electronic file, and then that way she can get the emails when everybody else gets them. If not, then we'll just send them as soon as we get them.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. All right, at this time, we're going to adjourn this hearing until we are at the point of considering the motion to substitute parties. And at that point, once the court makes its decision, we'll, if it decides in favor of the motion, then we'll have another hearing with respect to damages. And at that point, Ms. Craig, both parties should bring any documents that they have that are supportive of their claims for damages or mitigation of damages. Okay.
Okay, Your Honor, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So right now, it's a motion to dismiss today, and then whatever needs to be sent to Falcon Properties, and then to look at the damages that Mr. and Mrs. Mill is saying that I owe as far as the property.
Yes, ma'am.
Will be in consideration at that time, but no ruling will be made as in the damages that they're saying that I do owe until that time.
That's right, because you're entitled to hear what the damages are and to argue against any damages that you feel are not appropriate.
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
So I won't have a hearing without you present, if that's what you're concerned about.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Your Honor.
No
Yes.
problem.
Thank you.
That's why I wanted to make sure that my staff attorney has your email address, so that we can give you notice of hearings, that you can get the filings that have been filed, so you can read them over and be prepared to respond in whatever way you deem fit.
Oh, yes, ma'am, Your Honor. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. All right. So we will reconvene at another time after the court has had time to consider any of the filings in the motion to substitute property. All right.
Okay.
I mean, motion
All right.
to substitute plaintiff. All
Does the
right. Thank
court
you
have
so
a
much.
date certain for that
I do
reset
not.
hearing? Okay.
You just filed your motion, and so Ms. Craig has the ability to respond in any way that she sees fit within the next 30 days. So once that has happened, then the court will set a hearing date. I have specific days that I have open for civil cases. So
Okay.
I know that I have a date available. It's just a matter of once we've made the decision about the motion to substitute.
All right.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. and Mrs. Mills, I'll call you in a few minutes.
All right, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, the next case is Flexibility Capital Inc. versus Prince Tyrone Eason and Prince Electrical LLC. So I have a hold on that case because the attorney has a leave of absence. So we'll reset that case once the attorney's leave of absence has been completed. Anyone here on that?
He's in the
case?
courtroom, Judge.
I'm here, Your Honor.
I see the attorney in the courtroom.
Mr. Potter?
Yes, Your Honor.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Potter. I had that you were on leave until November 12th.
Well, my prognosis with my throat cancer came along better than I thought, and so I'm able to show up and speak and everything.
Well, good. Isn't that a blessing?
Yes, it is, Your Honor, very much so.
Well, good to see you, sir.
I am sorry.
All
that
right.
I'm not quite in the camera here. All right, over here.
Yeah, let me see if there is, Prince Tyrone Eason. So Miss Powell,
Yes, ma'am.
did Mr. Eason get any idea that we might reset the case, or was he just given notice to be here?
He was only given notice to be here.
Okay, so the court calls the matter of Flexibility Capital Inc. Versus Prince Tyrone Eason Jr. This is on the 10 a.m. calendar. It is now 10:23. Also, Prince Electrical LLC. Is there an attorney present for Prince Electrical LLC? Nope. Okay. All right. So, Mr. Potter, it appears that neither the company, which should be represented by counsel, or Mr. Eason, who has chosen to represent himself, are present at this time.
All right, Your Honor, we've been unable to get service upon Mr. Eason. So the only entity we're proceeding against is the LLC today.
Okay.
I have provided a 902 notice and an affidavit. If Your Honor would like me to go over the contents of the affidavit orally, I can do so. It is on file with the court, sending up the damages. Essentially, this came out of a future receivable purchase agreement in the amount of $20,000. The defendant defaulted under the terms of the agreement. At the time of the default, principal sum due and owing was $17,520.04. There were ACH fees of $269. That leads to prejudgment interest in the amount of $5,644.81. And the attorney's fees are under 13.111, not 13.611. So they are 10% of the 15% of the first $500, 10% of bonus of the rest that includes interest and principal, and that comes to the amount of $2,343.39. I have an order to present the court. I don't know who I'll hand it to at this point, but I do have an order here for the court.
All right, Ms. Powell, can we get that? Can you get that order for me and we'll sign it before Mr. Potter leaves?
Yes, ma'am. I'll be right back.
Okay, Mr. Potter, she'll be in a minute. All right, so the Prince Electrical LLC has been served. No attorney or agent or party showed up on behalf of Prince Electrical LLC. The plaintiff has presented evidence of damages on contract, liquidated damages for attorney's fees, for the damages for default under the contract, and for court fees. And the court at this time will declare the default, to strike the answer of Prince Electrical LLC, enter the default, and sign an order for damages.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. May I be excused?
Yes, Mr. Potter, and well, she's going to bring it back to you, or we can file it electronically. So whichever.
You can file it electronically. I'm good with that.
Okay, so we'll file it electronically and you'll get served this afternoon, okay?
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a great day.
All right, take care. I'm glad you are well.
Yes, thank you.
All right, the next case on the 10 a.m. calendar is Gary Sibilis versus Darren Bailey, Cassina Carter, and Archer Weston Construction, and Allstate Insurance. Make sure that they are still on the calendar for today. Okay, so in this case, the plaintiff has filed a motion to dismiss with prejudice. And so that the court will sign the order for the motion to dismiss with prejudice. All right, sir, in the courtroom, which case are you here on? Are you here for the 11 o'clock calendar?
No, Your Honor. I prepared but have not yet filed a special appearance in the Martini case.
Okay. That is my recusal case.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. I don't mean to talk over you.
Oh, no problem. I said I took this case on for recusal, the judge who was handling it. Okay, so has somebody been served?
No, that's why I'm here for Mr. Gagarin. I do not have authority. That's why it's a special appearance. He has not been served, so I was just here more to monitor.
Your Honor, we told Mr. Kaplan that we would pass this case because they have been unable to serve the defendant.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, Ms. Powell.
We told the plaintiff that we would push this hearing because they had been unable to serve the defendant.
Right. So we were already aware of the service issues when he reported in that he still had not had an opportunity to serve Mr. Gagarin. We went ahead and said, we wouldn't even have the hearing because it's a nullity at this point. But if you want to file your special appearance, that's fine.
Okay, I can do so. Again, if I don't need to be heard, then I can wait until it's back on and we're just monitoring it.
Okay, well, so I'm not sure how Mr. Gagarin and Mr. Stooksbury get notice, but they seem to always have notice. It is fine with me if you choose to wait to file something. It would assure notice, is all I'm saying, but if you wish to wait, we proceed in the same way. Unless Mr. The gentleman, Mr. Kaplan can show us that, notice has been, he's achieved the notice that he's been seeking against Mr. Gagarian and Mr. Stewksbury, we really basically are at a standstill at this point.
Understood. There's jurisdictional issues with that. So,
Yes, very much so, because nobody's invited me to Costa Rica. So, yeah,
well, Mr. Gagrin's closer than that, but yeah.
right,
That's-
right.
I'm late to the party, but it seems that that we'll still have something to talk about at a later date. So
I think you will.
thank you, Rob.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right. So that concludes the 10 a.m. hearing. The court is going to be in Yes, sir.
One other thing, I know
Yes, sir.
that there may be a recording of this. So if there is a record of it or needs to be a record of it, my name is Daniel Dwoskin from the.
All right,
Dwoskin.
Mr. Dwoskin.
So
Thank you. There is a recording. Yes.
okay, thank you.
All righty. So this is the 11 a.m. hearing. I'm sorry, we're going to hold for the 11 a.m. hearing. It's a little early. It's 10:30. So we don't want anyone to think that they have not missed their court date. We're going to be in recess until 11, and we'll be back. Thank you.